joined by my colleague Angela Oakes, who will be manning the Q&A in the chat and doing all the background technical stuff. We're also joined by our CEO, Lyn Cadwallader, and we're extremely grateful to have guest speakers Kevin Warren from Blaenafon Town Council and Amanda Pallister, who will be joining us later from Darran Valley Community Council. So this is the first webinar in what we plan to be a regular programme of monthly webinars that would explore the challenges that the cost of living crisis is presenting to our communities. We'd like to hear how you as councils have been responding. And for us at One Voice Wales, we hope to be able to provide advice, guidance and support to you to help in the response to the cost of living crisis. So for the session today, we'll be exploring whether the cost of living crisis is easing, looking at some key insights from citizens' advice, the Trussell Trust, and also insights from the survey that you all completed that we sent out earlier this year in relation to the cost of living crisis. There'll be a brief update on the work that we're doing as a specialist cost of living team at One Voice Wales and the support that we are going to offer you. Then we'll be hearing from two councils about the work they are doing within their communities to meet the challenges that the cost of living crisis is presenting. But I'd like to start the session this morning by welcoming our CEO, Lyn Cadwallader, who will provide a brief background to the cost of living project here at One Voice Wales. Bore Lyn.
And thanks, Emma, and good morning. As Emma said, welcome to the first of what will be a regular monthly event delivered by Emma and Angela and the cost of living team. First of all, with any new event, I'd like to thank you, the delegates, for taking out the time to engage with this new event in the One Voice Wales calendar. I'm sure that you're going to enjoy the webinar. We've got some great speakers, and you're going to be able to take some learning back to your own council, because one of the key aims of this programme is to take things to scale as quickly as possible to support communities across Wales. And finally, from me, it'd be remiss if I didn't say a huge thank you to today's presenters for giving up their valuable time and contributing to this extremely important agenda. So as this is the first cost of living webinar, I'll use the phrase COLC through the rest of my presentation. Event, I think it's important that I provide some context as to why we are here and what we as One Voice Wales are trying to deliver as part of the Welsh Government programme over the coming years. I am sure that some of you may have heard bits of what I'm about to say from presentations that Emma and Angela have given through area committees, but I think as this is the very first webinar, I wanted to just sort of start from the beginning. So in a nutshell, the chair and I made a bid at the end of 2022 for additional capacity support to be made available to One Voice Wales. This was effectively to enable us as a national organisation to support community and town councils across Wales regarding the sector's role in supporting what we would see and describing as neighbourhood level support, which was certainly evident throughout the COVID period, and then supporting post-COVID recovery and addressing what's followed, which has been the cost of living crisis. So we wanted to use this, wanted to ensure that the great work that was done during the sort of 3-4 year period wasn't kind of lost and was used and maximised as much as possible. So specifically, what we bid in for was to establish a small team, and you've got 2 of the 3 members. We have another member in the team 4th of June, I think, starting Vanessa, and the aim of the team is, as I say, to support community and town councils to better support low-income households, vulnerable persons in communities, and also potential middle earners who may be drawn into relative poverty as the cost of living crisis continues to bite. And despite recent news yesterday, reports of the inflation rate dropping down to 2.3%, products are still very expensive, and this agenda is kind of, from my perspective, certainly not going away, and will be an agenda that is going to face communities at least for the next 3 to 5 years. So the specific aims of the programme, as we set out to the Minister, were about mobilising the community and town council sector in Wales to sort of significantly increase its existing funding for food poverty, warm spaces over the course of a 3-year programme. Assist community and town council to become enabling authorities to support a range of interventions that support communities across Wales and addresses head-on the cost of living issues and increases the capacity and scale of community and town councils to deliver this neighbourhood level support. Bit of a mouthful that, but it's about working, much more closely with our key partners, our third sector partners, and local businesses, and then plus working up as well with key strategic partners, maybe the unitary authorities, NRW, and other organisations such as Citizen Advice and the local CVCs. The programme is very much about lowering inequalities across communities. We are aiming to deliver growth in place-based interventions, thereby reducing some of the pressures on local authorities and other services. I'm going to go off piste a little bit here, but we are working very closely with the Welsh Local Government Association at the moment to develop a new memorandum of understanding around joint working, because there is a recognition by both tiers of government that there needs to be far closer work around these sorts of agendas. So I've touched on this: delivers better coordination between community and town council, third sector, local businesses, develops and delivers cost of neighbourhood level support web hub, and that's something that Emma and the team are working on, which will provide guidance and materials and case studies of community and town councils' work. Last 2 points in terms of the aims of the programme: signposts community and town councils to resources and that support avoids the duplication of work, so that we are working more collaboratively with, say, the local authorities, and we are delivering what's needed for community and town councils. And importantly for the sector, because I think this is an underlying issue not only for cost of living, but many of the things that are being asked of the sector now, but that through this programme we begin to increase the capacity, capability and resilience within community and town councils and the local communities for future generations. You're all aware, the sector is being asked to be more compliant with legislation, introduce more performance measures, and be seen to be producing outcomes for your communities. So, as we said, as we sort of made the argument to the minister, we estimated that the economic environment was going to prevail for 3 to 5 years. I'm kind of pleased that the minister kind of not just supported it, but was pleased that the community and town council sector and One Voice Wales as a national body recognised the critical role that the sector has got to play going forward around this, as I see it, one of the most important agendas for One Voice Wales for the next 2 to 3 years. With that in mind, we've also recognised as One Voice Wales, and this is the case that we were making to the minister, over the last few years, we've seen an increasing number of community and town councils addressing the needs of their communities and town councils. You've upped your precepts, you've begun new initiatives, you've introduced a range of responses to COVID, you've introduced a range of responses to the cost of living crisis, and we want to see more of that and at pace and scale. So the COG programme, as One Voice Wales, we're aiming to provide a building block for further and extensive multi-year investment, which would facilitate a sort of transformative step change in community and town council performance. We see this as a bit of a sort of a transition period for the sector. We've perhaps as a sector been too quiet about our activities and our achievements, and this is an opportunity now through this programme to shout loud and proud about what we're doing and encouraging neighbouring councils who maybe not doing the things that you're doing to do more of it across Wales. The other thing obviously is that we want to get community and town councils delivering initiatives during the course of this 3-year period. So we're able to show to government how community and town councils have embraced this agenda. We would love to see, as One Voice Wales, the continuation of this programme beyond the next couple of years, which the end date at this point in time is the 31st of March 2026. Get my words right. So we sort of feel that this programme will be the stimulus for community and town councils, great stimulus for community and town councils to work with the third sector and local businesses, and we're sort of seeing that in certain parts of Wales. So, for example, some of the excellent projects that I've become aware of across community and town councils in Wales, and are a real reason to sort of celebrate progress and success in this area, include, for example, Newtown Town Council has done some work around community fridge project in this area. Pembroke Dock Town Council establishing warm hubs. Pennard Community Council has established food voucher systems for residents. Pembury and Buryport implemented fuel poverty scheme initiatives to assist local residents. You'll have, I'm not going to steal Kevin's thunder, Blaenaffon's work on this, and Darran Valley Community Council later on. And so the programme for us is about replicating these sorts of initiatives to scale across Wales as quickly as possible, because despite, as they say, the sort of inflation rates coming down, this issue is not going to go away anytime soon. So in terms of I suppose to give you not only my view, but the chair's view, who's not with us today, but certainly considers this to be one of the key priorities for One Voice Wales going forward. Indeed, his council, as I say, is Pembury and Buryport, who have been very active around this agenda over the last 2 or 3 years. He considers that that the COVID recovery will actually need to be managed over many years. Issues around unemployment. We've seen unemployment start to rise again. Lower incomes, poverty, hardship being some of the key issues to be addressed. So for us, as a sector, and you may have heard the chair say this in previous events, as we are one of 3 tax-raising public bodies in the UK, we've got an opportunity to listen to our residents, listen to residents' needs, and then potentially raise precepts to address those specific needs in your communities. So I'm sort of going to conclude here. So in terms of the COG programme, I can't emphasise enough from my perspective how much of a priority programme this is for One Voice Wales for the next, at least the next 2 years. And certainly I'm really hopeful that we're going to persuade whoever is the sitting minister for local government that this is a programme that needs to be continued beyond that time. I know that I don't wish to embarrass them, but I know Emma and Angela have made a really fantastic start and made some really great progress over the last few months. I'm thrilled with the work that they've done and the information that's come to light, which is going to help to inform this programme going forward.
Okay, so as Lyn alluded to earlier, we have seen some reports in the media saying that the cost of living crisis may be over. So I just want to explore with you this morning what is the current situation? Are things easing? And in response to that, I want to share some insights from organisations at the coalface of the crisis. So firstly, the latest data from Citizens Advice. Now, Citizens Advice provide a monthly update on their sort of cost of living data dashboard. And these are the most recent figures from them. So they're telling us that although inflation has fallen from a peak of 11.1% in October 2022 to 3.2% in March this year, it still remains the highest since March 2012. Their data also reveals that people are still being hit by above inflation price rises, and in particular with average private rents increasing by 9.2%. We have seen energy prices fall by 12% in April this year, but housing costs continue to escalate, and 1.5 million mortgage holders will see their payments increase by £1,800 this year. Also, despite policy changes, including an increase in minimum wage and benefits uprating, measures still don't seem to be sufficient to offset these rising costs. So many people are in a catch-up, slide-back scenario, which means by the time policy measures are felt in people's pockets, prices have risen and outpaced them. One of the biggest issues citizens' advice are seeing is the rising problem of negative budgets. So more than half of the people they help with debt advice are in negative budgets, and this figure is nearly twice as high as it was in 2019. So someone in a negative budget is when their income is not enough to cover their essential costs, and this is even after being helped by one of citizens' advice advisors. So they're building up debt just to get by, with no way of repaying what they already owe. So it's like quicksand, it's hard to get out of once you're in it. So in January 2019, people had £20 left over in it every month. Fast forward to April 2024, people are now on average £35 a month short. And last week, their CEO, Claire Moriarty, at Citizens Advice said, "It is still a bleak picture for many, with an even keel always out of reach." Next, the Trussell Trust, who support a nationwide network of food banks and provide emergency food and support. Food banks provided a record number of emergency food parcels last year, 3.1 million nationally. And in Wales, food banks distributed a record 187,000 emergency food parcels, a huge rise of 64% over the past 5 years. They explain this significant increase in demand is linked to rising living costs and inadequate social security. And although inflation decreased over the year, food prices remain 24% higher than in March 2022. They also conducted a survey in February 2024 that indicated 55% of universal credit recipients in Wales ran out of food in the previous months. Their chief executive, Emma Reevy, said, "It's 2024 and we're facing historically high levels of food bank need. As a society, we cannot allow this to continue. We must not let food banks become the new norm." So it still looks to be a pretty bleak situation, and although we are seeing some easing, energy costs coming down, there are still significant challenges that people are dealing with. I just want to move on now to your views as community and town councils and what is happening in your communities. You may remember that we sent you a cost of living survey earlier this year, and the purpose of that survey was for us as a team to understand council's awareness of the cost of living challenges that your communities are facing, what the response had been, the current activities taking place, and to find out what you as councils perceive to be the most significant challenges that you would potentially like support to address. So nearly a third of all councils participated with a huge and high level of awareness, 90%, 97% aware of cost of living issues and challenges. And so much being achieved already, with 53% of councils either delivering or supporting active cost of living initiatives. But I think the data is telling us that there's still more that can be done, and there's the potential to turn this high level of awareness into even more action. Councils thought that these were the top challenges currently facing their communities, so affording heating and electricity, housing costs, transport and food affordability. And what effect is this having on communities? Well, many families are struggling to make ends meet, and this is leading to increased stress and anxiety. The cost of living crisis is negatively affecting people's physical and mental well-being as individuals and families really face some difficult and tough choices. What can be done? Well, it's clear that community support is critical in facing the challenges posed by this crisis, and we saw a tremendous response that began during COVID. So it's about engaging with communities to understand their needs and direct them to the right support. And what was clear from the survey that you completed was that the community support already being provided by community and town councils across Wales is incredible and already something to be very proud of. So yeah, as I said, the survey showed that there's a phenomenal amount of activity being delivered or supported by community and town councils already in response to the cost of living issues. And we at One Voice Wales are really keen to shine a light on this effort, as it so often goes unrecognised. Some of the initiatives you told us you and others were involved in were warm hubs, social activities, wellbeing events, and elder-focused activities. And we really want to support councils to do more of this critical work and share these examples of community support in the hope that we can collectively do more and to raise the profile of the work of community and town councils, especially at a time when communities are finding things really very tough. We asked you what you would like from us, and 60% of responding councils wanted to know more about the role they play in supporting communities with cost of living initiatives. So what is it that we at One Voice Wales are proposing to provide, and how are we going to deliver it? Well, the top cost of living priority areas that came out of the survey we are calling our action areas, and they are community and warm spaces, food, health and well-being, clothing and repurposing, benefits and budgeting, and transport. And we would like to deliver a programme of activities and support under each of these action areas that consists of capacity building and training, so a programme of webinars, workshops and training focusing on each of these action areas, including input from councils across Wales. So this is the first of that programme of webinars, which will be running on a monthly basis. Following today, they will be more topic-based around our action areas. So the June webinar will be about community transport. This emerged from our survey as a key topic that you requested more information on, and details about booking onto this will be sent out later. July, we'll be looking at youth engagement and services, and September's focus will be in support of International Day of Older Persons and activity support to support older persons. Other support we will be offering to you are information and resources, so dedicated online resources, information, guidance, case study toolkits, and other information, for example, any funding or grants that might be available for community and town councils to apply for. Networking and collaboration, will be developing our One Voice Wales Cost of Living Crisis Facebook group. And we hope that will be a place online for us to share information, for councils to connect, share experiences and potentially form partnerships with other councils. We'll be launching this in the next few weeks, so look out for information on that. We want to provide support to share public awareness information and resources, so residents can be signposted for support in all these action areas. And really importantly, to provide recognition for the work that has and continues to be delivered across Wales by community and town councils. And I just want to end with some information from the Joseph Rowntree Foundation and their Poverty 2024 report. They said that the cost of living crisis continues to bite. In October 2023, around 2.8 million of the poorest fifth of households were in arrears with their household bills. 4.2 million households were going without essentials, and 3.4 million households reported not having enough money for food. So the cost of living crisis isn't over, and the situation continues to look pretty challenging for our Welsh communities. Bore da, Kevin.
Bore da, Emma. Bore da, everybody. My name is Kevin Moran. I'm a Chief Officer, Clerk to Blaenafon Town Council, and I've been in post for the last 7 years. What I'm going to try and do today is an awful lot to get through and to cram that into half an hour. It's a task in its own right, but I'll obviously try my best. So what I'm going to be doing today is to give an overview basically as to who we are as Blaenafon Town Council. In essence, what we do, how we do it, and that's heavily linked to place-based working. I want to touch upon partnerships, and that's obviously linked to the joint service delivery. That's linked to funding, and an opportunity to demonstrate how we, as a council, had the opportunity, having come out of COVID, to understand our community and to provide cost-effective services to meet the cost of living crisis. I'll then move on then right at the end to give you a snapshot really of what we've done in 2023-24 and what we call a year in review, which is quite important to us as a council. But the key thing for us was obviously during COVID, and that was a very difficult time for communities right across Wales. We were quite proactive during this period, and we were very keen to understand the level of need because there was a huge need where we were. And the 4 areas that we focused on or were able to see were issues around physical health, issues around mental health, definitely food poverty. That was really, really heavy. And obviously transport. During that time, that was quite difficult. So there were 4 key areas for us to focus on coming out of 2020, going into 2021, and then forming an understanding of what we could do as community leaders, as a first tier of local government, to one, understand what is the need and what we could do to implement services to counteract some of that cost of living issues. So I'm going to share a PowerPoint now. This is about how we engage with our community to get a depth and breadth of an understanding as to what we were about to do. And the key thing here, I'll say this very, very strongly, it's about partnerships, because as a council, we couldn't do things on our own. It was an impossible task. So I'll just share an overview as to who we are, what we did, and how we engage with our community to form a better understanding. Can my panel members confirm that that's on the screen, please?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's brilliant. Okay, so one of the key things that we tried to do going into 2021 and coming out of that going into 2022 was to get a better understanding as to what our community needed, and we've got to engage. So we decided at the start of 2023 to deliver, and the best way to get evidence and an understanding is to run a community event, and that's exactly what we did. So the first event that we did was in March 2023, and it was a community engagement project Wellbeing Day. That was what we actually tried to do, and in fact did. So who are we then as a town council? So in Blaenafon, we've got 12 councillors. We've got 3 officers. Myself, I'm full-time. I also perform the role as an LFO. I have an assistant chief officer who works 15 hours. And we are very, very fortunate to have and employ a community development and wellbeing officer that works 30 hours. In terms of the funding and precept, our precept for 23-24 was 185,000. That's now gone up to 194,250 because we are growing and we need to grow, and that's heavily based around the cost of living within our community. The project spent for 23, that was 61,000 based on projects, again heavily weighted against cost of living. That's been increased for 24-25 to 66,100. So what is our population in Blaenafon? Well, at the back end of 2021, we had 6,016. Our electorate was 4,686 in December 23. As a council and a town, we were a founding partner of the Blaenafon World Heritage Site. So Blaenafon has a World Heritage status, and we sit within the Torfaen County Borough, and we are one of 6 town and community councils in the borough. So just to give a broad overview as to what we've done, certainly in the last 2 years, and the services that we actually provide. You can see that up on the screen. We operate a bee-friendly film club, teen gym sessions, family fitness sessions, mother and daughter fitness sessions, youth skateboarding sessions. We offer photography workshops, a digital heritage Easter trail, community swimming sessions. I'll come on to that later. A community animals interactive workshops, youth music workshops, yoga classes, heritage litter pickers, community cooking on a budget, participatory budget project that we finalised at the back end of 23, and intergenerational projects, Little Voices project up at our school. We provide hanging baskets for the town, summer events, 2 of which were our Western Day and Coronation Day in 23, which I'll come on to later. A community concert that was Bromwell Lewis back in September. We run an artisan market, civic awards evening, Remembrance Day, Christmas lights, Christmas market, a Christmas light event, over 60s fitness classes. So you can see there our planning and understanding of what we tried to do coming out of 2021, going into 22, and then in 23, we really got to grips with this and started to provide those services. So one of the services that we started off with in 2022 was the Bee Friendly Film Club. What that was a film that we showed in the Workman's Hall, which is a building within the town, and in actual fact that's got a cinema. And we wanted to pull together an understanding of what the community want. And that was the first kind of rung on the ladder to gain that understanding. And what that project did was we showed a film, we get some light snacks and everything, and it's really, really popular. To date, we get around 60 residents on the last Friday of each month. Emma was fortunate to come up and have a little look at that, a thing in action. It's extremely popular. Emma was also able to interview some of the residents coming to that particular project. That was huge for us, as it gave us an understanding as to what the public wanted. And that's what came on to the delivery of the Community Engagement Day in March. So what we were keen to do was to build on the positive outcomes experienced from our Befriending Film Club project. The key thing for us as a council was we wanted to create a place-based community engagement initiative. Members wanted that. That was the obvious thing to do for us. It was screaming out at us. What we wanted to do was, this would be a break from the norm. It would be managed by us as a town council. Key thing here is to collaborate with residents and key partners and establish new ways of engagement to assist with cost of living. That was one of the key factors for making this happen. Our aim was to move away from referrals, assessments. The key thing for us was, and a new way of working was, conversations and connections. So at the start of 2023, we embarked on a strategic plan with a clear objective to work in partnership with multiple organisations, because we couldn't do it on our own. That was an absolute impossible task. So we obviously wanted to manage and deliver a multifaceted engagement opportunity. That was achieved. We wanted to promote local services and events. That was achieved. Deliver a wraparound intergenerational event. It's about the cross-section of our town, both the younger element and the older element as well. And clearly to support the community around the cost of living crisis. Again, I keep saying this, but that was the key factor. That was a catalyst for setting this up. So how did we do that, and what did we try and do to actually make that happen? So we formed working groups and we collaborated with local organisations, but more importantly, residents. So we had our Community Wellbeing Day, and as I said, a key thing around this was partnerships and working with partners. And what we wanted to do was to deliver to residents the services that are on offer, not just from us, but from a cohort and a cross-section of services, and that's based around cost of living. So you can see there a list of the partners that we had there on the day. It's quite a wide cross-section of partners. And to make this happen again, in 2022-23, we ran a series of workshops, and negotiations with partners allowed us to launch this day. It was hosted at our World Heritage Centre, and the aim of the day was to encapsulate a cross-section of community organisations that offered help to support residents, and it was aligned heavily to health and well-being. We obviously knew this from COVID. It was about financial. There were issues there around people struggling with financial matters, heating bills, food, etc. Housing, people were struggling with housing. The cost of living, as Emma pointed out, the income at the end of each month was getting lower and lower, and quite frankly, they were struggling. Education, we saw that there were gaps there for education and training and employment as well. So those were the 6 key areas that we did focus on. The good thing about this was on the day we had over 500 people coming to that event. So we were able to reach a cross-section of our community, which was really, really awe-inspiring. It really was. So a couple of pictures there as to what that day looked like. And you can see from the poster there, this was a free event. Everything we do and all of the events that we put on and projects that we actually put on, they're free. And that's where we budget our project budget in to make that happen, but it's in partnership as well. This was also an opportunity to allow residents to engage with their councillors as well. And the feedback that we've had from residents on that was absolutely fantastic. But it was letting us understand what the public wanted. And so it's pointless putting on projects and events if that didn't suit that particular need. And that's about place-based working. So obviously we had to learn from this event. That was our key aim. So the visitor feedback, again, as I said, was really, really positive. Top of the pops there, it was a free event. People like that. It was an opportunity to discuss individual matters, distribution of event information, contact with councillors, community togetherness, opportunity for us as a council and our partners to shape future events. Free physical activity, that was one of our key aims. Cultural awareness, reduction in loneliness, and again, cost of living free lunch vouchers. And again, it was an opportunity for residents to catch up with people that they hadn't seen in a long while. So some of the outcomes for us, again, based on cost of living, was we did deliver a multifaceted engagement opportunity for residents and the wider community. It was heavily weighted towards place-based networking opportunity, aligned to community needs, an opportunity to promote council-run initiatives around cost of living, engagement with councillors, opportunity for residents to give us feedback, and as Emma pointed out, you've got to have that feedback in order to understand what we need to do to combat cost of living. And an opportunity as well to showcase the wider services that would support residents in terms of cost of living, and opportunities for them to understand what is out there for them. So, having listened, and that's really important to do that, we then in 2023 created and implemented the following events. Yoga sessions. The community wanted yoga sessions. We obviously did that. That was all free. Free youth skateboarding sessions. Now that was in partnership with Torrent Sports Development. Really popular event, and we did that. Free teen gym sessions in partnership again with Torrent Sports Development at the local leisure centre. Summer events, residents wanted summer events to go on within a town. Again, this was all free. So we ran a Country and Western Day fair in August. Residents wanted to know what was going on, so we devised and implemented a town council newsletter that was delivered to every single household, again signposting residents to what's on offer. Our next one is coming out now in the back end of June. Residents wanted chair-based strength exercises, so we actually delivered that. Over 60s exercise dance sessions, that was ongoing, so we've made that wider and actually developed that further. Residents wanted paddleboarding. We have an area in Blaenafon called the Keeper's Pond. So in partnership with Blackbro paddleboarders, we ran 6 sessions for residents, old and young, to actually take part in that. That was all free. So what does the future look like here? So we've learned a lot here. So we've now delivered our second community engagement day. That was on May the 11th. Again, another popular day and some more learning for us. But the feedback that we've had was, during that period of time, we have heavily supported and understood and got a better understanding of the cost of living crisis. And now we, as a local authority, with partners, are now helping our community to overcome some of that.
That's great. Many thanks, Kevin, for that. It's really informative. I, as you mentioned, I attended one of your befriending film events about a month ago. I spoke to the beneficiaries, so the attendees, who it's clear get an awful lot out of that event, and not just that event, but all the events that the council are running in Blaenafon. And we are doing a little video and written case study on that particular event and the other activities that Blaenafon Town Council do. So that will be coming out to you in the next few weeks.
Right, so my name's Amanda Pallister. I'm the clerk for Darran Valley Community Council. We're a really small community council, so I only work 8 hours a week in this role, because I'm full-time as a cluster project development manager in the NHS. So I'm really proud of some of the initiatives the council has done to help people during the cost of living crisis, and it just shows what you can do with a small amount of money and not that much time. So basically, just to give you an idea of where Darran Valley is, so Darran Valley, we're located in the uppermost part of the Rhymney Valley within the Caerphilly County Borough Council area. We've got a population of approximately 2,436 residents. So it's a small community, and lots of engagement goes on within the community. So statistics show, they come from the Welsh Index of Multiple Deprivation, that Darran Valley is actually in the top 10% of one of the deprived areas in Wales. So they've been hit quite badly with the cost of living crisis. And as a small community council, there's lots that you can do, and what we've done by organising events, creating grants for community organisations, just to increase well-being, because often if people are short of money, if families are short of monies, it often means they can't afford to maybe take the children out or go to events and enjoy time together. And the other thing that we are quite passionate about as well is signposting people to the right places. I think even if you can't help financially, you can signpost people, because sometimes it can be a difficult thing to navigate. So one of the things I'm proactive about is I like to keep my web pages up to date, to make sure all the links are there to things like step change. People are having difficulty with debt. There's links there to where they can apply for grants and funding elsewhere. If people email me or phone me, I'm really proactive in letting people know where they can access grants through the council, and also other initiatives like where they can get maybe some free groceries and things like that if they're really struggling. And also the councillors are exactly the same. So I'm just going to give you some examples of some of the things that we've done in the council to support the community. So we know that Christmas can be a really expensive time for families, and often they can't maybe afford to, buy many presents or take children to pantomimes and things like that. So what we do as a community council is we always organise 2 pantomimes every year, and we invite all the families in the villages to come along. It's all free of charge. We work closely with the community centres as well, and then we'll put on like a free disco buffet and other activities, and they're extremely well attended and really appreciated. So that really does help the community then. They don't have to travel maybe into Cardiff to a pantomime. It's all there on their doorstep, and it's all local, and it's all free of charge. So the other thing that we do is, prior to the event, we give out the free tickets on a Saturday and a Sunday, where the councillors will turn up and give the tickets to the families. And what we do then is we use this as an opportunity to engage with the local community. So that's where we get to find out maybe the challenges and the things that are really affecting them. So we not only use the events to help their well-being, but also to engage with them and find out more about the challenges that they're facing. Another example of one of the initiatives we did as well was we like to work closely with the schools. So Darran Valley didn't actually have their own logo for many, many years. We decided what we would do is we would engage with the schools and ask the children to put in an entry for a logo competition. So we did that, and we had a fantastic result. As you can see, this is the logo here. We're really pleased with it. What we did as well, all the children that participated, we gave them a £20 Amazon voucher, which obviously they could help them then maybe buying things they need for school, new bags. And then the winner won a £50 Amazon voucher. And in the picture here, you could see one of the councillors there going along and presenting the certificates to the local children. The other thing which was really good about that as well was because they were designing the logos, a lot of them started looking at the history of the Darran Valley. So it was educational, because they wanted to incorporate that into their logo designs. The other thing we did as well is we were really worried about the young children during the pandemic, because we run a summer scheme every year for the children. But during the pandemic, everything was stopped. So what we did was we organised play packs for them. So inside the play packs, the children, you can see there's a picture of them all there with their little bags. So they all had like skipping ropes, painting kits, kites, garden set and balls, because we knew the parents might be struggling. How are we going to keep them occupied in summer holidays? Things are expensive. So they all went home before they broke up. And they all had a bag with all these toys and things they could play with then during the summer holidays, and it was all, again, all funded by the council, all free of charge. And we also, when the restrictions started to be lifted, we gave more money to the youth clubs as well, so they could put on some local events for the youth in the area. They like a party or a disco and things like that, just to, you know, again, all free of charge, and that was all paid for by the council. The other cohort that we were concerned about was the elderly, because some of them were quite isolated during the pandemic as well. So following the restrictions being lifted, we always pay for the elderly in the Darran Valley to have a trips. They have a Christmas trip and they have a summer trip, but we actually put in extra money after the pandemic so we could put events on, so that it would encourage them to come back out and integrate within the community, because a lot of them were quite isolated and we were concerned about their mental health. So we did that, and that was a great success, and there was a lot of engagement going on there, and lots of sort of joint work in partnerships with the local community centres again. We also do various different grants. So one of the grants we do is administered by us, is the Section 137 grants. We've increased the amount available because obviously the cost of living, everything's gone up. So people who apply can have £150. So with this grant here, obviously we can't give money to individual families and individual people. We're not able to do that. So what we do instead is we give the grants to local organisations that the community could be attending to help them out. So I've got some examples there of the things that we funded. So coach trips to Tenby. We've helped the local church towards repairs. Afternoon tea and meals for the Vocrw over 55s club. Fruity Fridays, a little club, a sewing club, so they needed to purchase some new materials and a new sewing kits and supplies, etc, etc. Then we've also got the Darran Valley history groups. They needed to do some different projects. So that's how we help our community, because we haven't got much funds. We tend to give the grants then via the actual the community organisations. We're also really lucky in the Darran Valley because obviously it's a rural area. We also have wind turbines as well. So we've got a wind turbine grant, and then people can apply for up to £1,000 then for larger projects. And what we did with that was, because we wanted to make sure that was as impartial as it possibly could be, that's administered through GAVA, which is the Glamorgan Voluntary Organisation. So obviously we supply the funds and we advertise the grants. They also advertise them as well, but also people can, groups can also apply for funding through them. That's really well taken up as well. And this year, what we decided to do is we're earmarking some of the wind turbine funds because we want to have an enhanced children's summer scheme. So to help the local children this year, because we know the families are still struggling. So we've got some exciting stuff happening this summer. We've got paintballing arranged for the children, laser quest, inflatable. So we're spending a lot more money on the summer scheme this year. Normally we usually have sports caffili, but we thought we'd do something a bit different this year. We're going to get the police to turn up. They've got a games van. So we're spending more money again on the summer scheme this year to help the local children. So I think what my presentation shows is that even if you're a small community council, we don't get much precept. You know, there are things that can be done to help families, even if it's things like events, pantomimes, just to get them out the house, because I think if you can help them through that so that they're not so isolated due to lack of money, I think, you know, that just helps them immensely. So that's really what we've done, and I think that's one of the reasons why we were, you know, put forward for the award. So if anyone's got any questions, then please let me know. just stop sharing my presentation now.
All right, thanks, Amanda. Anyone have any questions for Amanda? I can't see any in the Q&A. Let's have a little look in the chat. Can't see any questions. I'm really grateful for you attending today, Amanda. I think
Okay.
it's really important for us as a project team to for councils to know that we understand that there are vast differences between the size of councils and between town and community councils. Everyone has different levels of resources, so it's important for us that we consider not only the larger councils but the smaller councils. It's really important to us that we include that in part of our work, because it's hard for smaller councils to see larger councils doing lots of wonderful things, and they might aspire to do themselves but not be quite as well resourced. So we're really grateful for both Kevin and Amanda attending today to tell us about the amazing work that they're doing in their councils. So if no one has any further questions for Kevin and Amanda, I'd like to thank them both again for attending. Hang on, we've got a question in the Q&A, please. Me.
It's okay.
From Councillor William Powell, who said, thanks, Amanda. One extra source of funding might be your police and crime commissioners discretionary fund.
Okay, thank you.
So that's lovely. I love advice from one
No, it's
council to
nice
another.
when you get advice from other councils. It's
Yeah.
always nice to share information, isn't it? So thank you very much for that. That's really useful.
Yeah. Okay. So if there are no more questions, I will say thank you again to our guests, Kevin and Amanda, and to all of you for attending. I hope you found today's session useful. We'll be sending out a package of resources maybe later this week, early next week, in relation to this webinar, which will include some signposting, some of the cost of living data, results of our cost of living survey, and some of the presentations and information from our guests today. We'd really appreciate your feedback on today's event. As I said, this is the first cost of living webinar, and we'll use that feedback to inform how we run events in the future. So we'd really hugely appreciate you taking the time to do that. Angela is going to pop the links to the feedback in the chat box, but also we'll email them out to you. Our next webinar is a guide to community transport, and that's on Tuesday, June the 18th at 2 p.m. Angela will also pop the link to book onto that into the chat, and again we'll email that to you. Some of you may have already booked onto that. We did send an email out about that. Look out for an invite in the next week or so to join our Cost of Living Crisis One Voice Wales Facebook group. And I think that's everything. I'm just going to check that we haven't got any more questions. Anonymous attendee says, both of your speakers have inspired me to go back to my council with ideas. Well, that is wonderful. So we're delighted that our panelists have inspired you to do that. And it's our hope that through these webinars that you can hear from one another to inspire one another. So that's brilliant. So I think that's everything. Thanks from me again for attending today, and we hope to see you again soon. If you have any questions for the project or would like any more information, I did drop our email address in the chat, and we look forward to speaking to you all again soon. Diolch.